Welcome to Voices of Experience. The next half hour, we'll be looking at a government program that is of importance to all of us, Social Security. I'm Dan Michael, President Emeritus of the Minnesota State Retiree Council, afl-cio, and I'll be host of today's program. Social Security has been around since before I was born. And will be around for many, many years to come. And we need to understand how it works. Joining us today is Jim Czechowitz. Jim is a public affairs specialist with the Social Security Administration, and he is working on his second quarter century with the Social Security Administration. And Jim's role is to explain what Social Security is, so we can all understand the benefits and rules of Social Security. On other shows, we have political leaders or people who want change, and we discuss what the law should be. Today's program, though, focuses on what the Social Security law is and how it affects all of us. Jim, welcome back to Voices of Experience.
Thank you, Dan. Great to be here.
Okay, let's do the most important question first. And none of this will be right back after this short commercial break that you see on broadcast TV. So the most important question, what's new in the world of Social Security?
Well, Social Security has now moved those annual personal earning and benefit statements to online at our website, www.socialsecurity.gov. And so now you don't have to wait until 3 months before your birthday every year for that green letter that we used to mail out that had benefit estimates. It also displayed your entire lifetime of earnings year by year. Now that's all available online with a PIN and a password. So we would encourage people to go ahead and have a look at that. Again, you access that through socialsecurity.gov. One of the biggest features about these personal Social Security accounts, by the way, they're called My Social Security, is that people on benefits, people who are currently receiving benefits, can now print out a benefit verification instantly. So if somebody needs to prove how much Social Security they get, they don't have to call Social Security or go in or write to Social Security. If they can get to a computer, they can print that information out for themselves. So that's one of the features and benefits of the personal account.
And if you change your address, you could get your direct benefit. You can have the new address put on your account, so it's appropriate for the records.
Right. Changes of address, changes of direct deposit. There are many things you can do at My Social Security. If you're not on Social Security benefits, of course, you can check your earnings, you can check your benefit amount estimate information. At the website, too, we have a separate retirement estimating calculator that people can use if they're getting close to retirement and they're trying to decide at what age to take benefits and so forth.
And if a person does not have a computer at home, most public libraries have computers, and person can go down to the library and get help in getting getting online and
sure.
So forth.
And today we find if a person doesn't have a computer, like my mother never had a computer, but often there'll be children or neighbors that are willing to assist. So.
My own 7-year-old grandson can direct grandma or grandpa on occasion.
Yep.
Okay, so that's very exciting news then about having those records online before you retire, or you're checking after you are retired and making sure the right amount is going to the right place. Okay.
Right. MySocialSecurity.gov.
Okay. Now in retirement, in general now, should people expect Social Security to replace all of the income that they had while they were working?
No. One of Social Security's messages has always been for people to, count on Social Security as a foundation of income in retirement, but to be planning in advance with things like savings and 401k, and if a person's fortunate enough to have a pension, those are all good things to supplement, because for the average person, Social Security replaces about 40% of the income they had before they retired. And we often hear you need more than 40% for a comfortable retirement.
Yeah.
And so that's why we do encourage people to plan ahead and to supplement Social Security.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that there are people without their own pension plans. In the world of unions, we're ideal with the afl-cio. Our people are frequently covered either by a defined benefit or defined contribution. But Social Security is a solid base, from which to work. Then you have
Right.
your own investments, your own plans. Now, I've heard that Social Security is more than just retirement benefits.
Well, that's right. People hear the phrase Social Security, they immediately think of retirement, but when we talk to younger audiences especially, we like to remind them that Social Security does provide disability benefits in the event that a younger person can't work anymore before retirement. If they've paid in and they qualify, they can be on Social Security disability, and survivor benefits as well. If a worker dies and leaves minor children behind, or a spouse, then Social Security benefits are available to those survivors as well. So for young people, most younger workers, the only long-term disability insurance that they have is their Social Security, and Social Security survivor benefits amount to a fairly good amount of life insurance, basically, depending on how old the children are and things like that.
Now, when I was teaching, I taught for 35 years, I would sometimes have students tell me, we're talking about Social Security, they were telling me, I received Social Security. This would be a 15 or 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old
Right.
student that I had. So that was true. That was
Yeah,
true.
well, my mom and brothers and sisters and I all collected Social Security because my father passed away. It's just a coincidence that I happen to work for Social Security, but I tell people that I've been on Social Security myself.
So now, how does one become eligible for Social Security benefits?
Well, I encourage people to think of Social Security more like a pension or insurance, in that in order to get something back, they have to be vested, they have to have earned enough what we call credits, what we used to call quarters, and you become vested in Social Security and eligible by working at a job where they take out the FICA tax, the FICA tax, and over your lifetime of working and paying the FICA taxes, that's like paying your insurance premiums. And then when a life event occurs like death or disability or retirement, and you have enough credits, then you're eligible to receive benefits. Now, for a retirement benefit at age 62, which is age 62 is the youngest that you can be and be eligible for retirement, a person would need 40 credits, which is another way of saying 10 years of work. So the first requirement to being eligible is, do you have your 40 credits by the time you're 62 years old? If you do, and by the way, the 10 years of work could be any 10 years. They don't have to be the last 10 or 10 in a row. It can be any 10 in your life. Then we go to the next step, which is calculating the benefit. And we use a very long-term average. We use a 35-year average after indexing each year for inflation. So we go back throughout a worker's entire lifetime of earnings and index for inflation. That is to say, translate the historical amount that they earned into what those dollars are worth today. And then we pick out the high 35 years. So Social Security benefits at retirement are based on the high 35. Now, for disability or survivor benefits, it depends on how many years they need to qualify for Social Security. Depends on how old they are when they die or become disabled. But if people have questions about that, they can always go to our website, or we have a national toll-free number, phone number, 800-772-1213. So.
Now, before getting benefits, of course, you have to be registered in the Social Security program, and one can become registered at any time. If you're 2 years old or a year old, you can have a Social Security card.
Yeah, it's pretty typical that when a baby's born in the hospital, the hospital often will ask the parents if do they want the child to apply for a Social Security number. Do you want to apply for a number? And most babies are what we call enumerated. They get a Social Security number application right there when at the hospital. The parents apply for them. But yeah, I mean, if a person doesn't have a Social Security number, they can apply for one. But there are requirements as far as documents and.
So that saves a hassle later on when you're going for your first job if you don't have a Social Security number, or if you have grandparents who want to set up a special account for them to receive some money or other kind of benefits. The person has Social Security card. Yeah. Now you mentioned age 62 as the first age which you can start collecting your Social Security benefits. Do you have to take them at 62? Do you have to take them at 65 or 67, or what is the deal with the age requirement as far as collecting Social Security benefits?
Well, as we mentioned, age 62 is the minimum age, but one can start their Social Security at any month after that. Or, I mean, there isn't any legal requirement that they ever have to start. But what we like people to know is that everyone has what they call a full retirement age, the age at which they, by definition, receive 100% of their benefit. Now, for people born between 1943 and 1954, age 66 is their full retirement age. And so for a person like that, if they were to take benefits at younger than 66 years old, anywhere between 62 and 66, they don't get 100%. They don't get their full amount. They get a permanently reduced amount. In this example, it would be about 75% at age 62, and then it goes up about 0.5% each month after that.
Now that's a one-time decision.
For most people,
that a person makes.
For most people, of course, we realize people do change their mind, and there are ways to accommodate that. But there is no universally true one-size-fits-all answer to when should I take my Social Security. A lot of it comes back to how long you think you're going to live. Can you afford to retire? Lots of other considerations. Do you have minor children who might be eligible for benefits now? So if people do have questions about that, we have a fact sheet on our website called When to Start Receiving Retirement Benefits, and I would encourage people to go to the website and look for that.
And every person's case is unique.
Yes, that's true. I mean, people have different ideas, different feelings about it. There can be tax implications. Maybe you want to wait a year until your younger spouse is old enough and stops working, so that your tax situation might be better. I mean, it is a very unique planning.
Now, is there an age requirement for survivors or for people who are disabled?
Well, yes and no. For like benefits to what we call a widow or a widower who isn't disabled, you have to be 60, not 62, but 60. You can be as young as 50 and be a widow and a widower and eligible for Social Security if you are also disabled. As far as minor children are concerned, in general, children can receive benefits, whether it's based on the death of a worker, the retirement, or the disability of a worker. The dependent can receive benefits up until about age 18, sometimes a little longer if they're still in high school, or if they're disabled, then that can go past age 18. So the spousal benefits, that would be age 62. Survivor benefits, like I said, for widows and widowers who aren't disabled, it's age 60.
Now, if a person is retired at whatever age, can a person still do some work, say on a part-time basis or a seasonal basis, and still receive Social Security?
Right. Social Security for people who are under full retirement age, and in my example earlier, let's just say your full retirement age is 66. So if you're younger than 66 and you're thinking of going on Social Security, or you are on Social Security, and you decide to work in addition, then up until age 66, there is a limit of how much you can work and earn and not have to give any Social Security back. Now, I want to emphasize that retirement earning test, we call it, only pertains to ordinary income from a job. In other words, wages, or your net earnings from self-employment. It does not include your pension or capital gains or investment income or your spouse's income. The retirement annual earning test is just how Social Security determines whether each individual who's old enough gets, and who's applied for Social Security, do they, based on their annual income, do they get all or just part of their Social Security? And again, there is at the website, there is a calculator that people can use for that.
You mentioned amount of money. How much of a person's earned wages, that is, at a job, getting a paycheck, how much is taxed? I mean, is it? Do you pay on all of your income, or is there a cap?
Yes, there is a cap. Ever since Social Security started, there is an amount after which no more FICA tax is taken out of someone's earnings. And back in 1974, I always use this example, that amount was $13,300. This year it's about $113,000. So it goes up with inflation. But I forgot to mention that when we were talking about how much you can work and earn and still collect all your Social Security, this year the amount is $15,120 gross. So if you're on Social Security, you're under 66 years old, you're working, and you make less than $15,000 for the year, then you get to keep all your Social Security. But for every $2 you go over that annual retirement test amount, then you have to give $1 in Social Security benefits back.
Okay. What about the Medicare program? That came about quite a bit after Social Security was established. And what should we know about Medicare?
Well, the big thing about Medicare is that for most people it's something that they're eligible for beginning at age 65. And for people who are approaching their 65th birthday and who are already collecting Social Security because they retired and started Social Security when they were 63 or whatever, like, Medicare is automatic. They will receive a Medicare card in the mail prior to their 65th birthday. They will be enrolled in Part A of Medicare, which is the hospital benefit part, for which there isn't a monthly premium. They will be enrolled in Part B of Medicare, the doctor or physician part of Medicare, for which there is, for most people, a monthly premium. This year it's about $105 a month. And that Part B premium comes out of the 65-year-old's Social Security beneficiary's monthly Social Security check. That's how the Part B is paid if you're on Social Security. Now, there's also a group of 65-year-olds who are not retired or are not on Social Security yet. And Social Security encourages those people to look into what part of Medicare, if any, they should enroll in at 65. Usually there isn't any harm in a working person taking Part A at 65 if they continue to work. But often a 65-year-old who's actively employed with group health insurance through work, they can defer Part B. They don't need to enroll in the Part B. So again, Medicare there's a lot of considerations, but one thing we would just encourage people is as they get about 3 or 4 months before their 65th birthday is to just call Social Security.
Do you have to be receiving or eligible for Social Security benefits in order to be eligible for Medicare benefits?
No, actually. You could be eligible for Medicare based on a marriage to somebody who has 40 credits. One example that comes to mind would be certain occupations that don't pay into Social Security. Some certain city occupations like firefighter and police officers have a non-Social Security pension system. So one way they could get Medicare is through a spouse.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned the Social Security website three times. First question, could you give us that again? And then what can you find out on this website? I know there's a whole array of material on that website.
Well, it's socialsecurity.gov. That's Social Security, all one word, .gov. And for example, there are over 700 frequently asked questions. Wow. On the home page, you will see it organized according to type of benefit. There's retirement, there's disability, there's survivors, there's Medicare, there's a program called SSI. There is an office locator on the home page. And like I mentioned earlier, there is now a link to establish your own Social Security personal account that allows you to view your earnings record and benefit estimate if you're not on Social Security. And if you are on Social Security, these personal accounts allow you to get instant benefit verifications and do changes of address and direct deposit and things like that.
So you can do all kinds of things without having to go to downtown St. Paul or downtown Minneapolis or any kind of a regional center. So it can all be done online. In receiving Social Security benefits, is direct deposit of benefits mandatory?
Well, the Treasury Department had a rule that I believe went into effect in March that they wanted everybody to have direct deposit. We encourage people to have direct deposit, but Social Security, that the direct deposit regulations pertain to Social Security as well as federal railroad or veterans benefits and things like that. But we there's a very high participation rate of indirect deposit in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to worry about about receiving your check and getting it down to your bank in bad weather, or if you're out of town, if you're a snowbird, either for the winter or for just a couple of weeks, and during that time the paycheck or the Social Security check is coming, you don't have to be concerned about that. So it's a really neat thing. Now, I mentioned at the start of the show that Social Security has been around since before I was born. Has Social Security ever missed a payment?
No, Social Security has never missed a payment.
Okay, very good. And very quickly then, what is the percentage of overhead in order to administer the program?
I think it's about 0.8%, or maybe a little less than that.
Under 1%.
Under 1%, definitely under 1%.
Okay, Jim, our award-winning director, Roger Carlson, and his crack crew, Bill Moore, Larry Chadwick, Ed Rapp, are telling me that our time is almost up. We should mention that if a person would like to have a group presentation, they can contact the Social Security Administration through their website, and you can come out, or some other person from Social Security. The State Retiree Council does a little bit broader program of retirement for the 99%, which includes Social Security and some other matters. And you can contact us at the Minnesota State Retiree Council, afl-cio. So on behalf of the Minnesota State Retiree Council, thanks to our guest, Jim Czechowitz, from the Social Security Administration, for coming with us today. And thanks to you, the viewer, for watching us. And we go out from this program with some music composed and sung by our guest.
Hope is the anchor of life. In jubilation, trouble, or strife, for the times that count, take it from me, you can count on Social Security. A long time ago, as folks moved off the farm, they had their families to shelter them from harm. Then came the crash in 1929. Gram and Grandpa standing in the soup line. Old FDR, Congress made a plan, a firm foundation for every woman, child, and man. In senior years, reduce the poverty. This protection they called Social Security.